Hey, data streamer.
Hey, what's up, you?
Oh, so I experienced something yesterday during a conversation. Of course, we were talking about AI, right?
Of course.
And so we were chilling on a balcony with some friends, and one of these guys, he's a photographer,
hmm
like a really good one. So he's selling. So his story was that he was selling his pictures to someone
Yeah.
in a kind of gallery. Let's keep it that way. It's a kind of gallery. And the visitors, they saw his pictures and asked the gallery owner, like, "Hey, that's a nice picture. Is it produced by AI?"
Mm.
Well, so the gallery owner then asked my friend, like, "Hey, could you make these pictures more realistic?" And that's when my friend said, like, "Okay, so this happened to me. I'm not afraid of AI because it seems that because of this cross between not being realistic enough is keeping me having a job as a photographer."
Yeah. That's a that that's yeah, that's kind of odd. Like realistic. What type of so he just takes pictures.
Yeah.
He's a
So let's
photographer.
say, yeah. So let's say a landscape
Yeah. But it's a picture. So how can he make it
by
more
camera.
realistic? Yeah, exactly. So how can it how
But
did
maybe by editing, I guess.
so the people saw the picture and they were like, "Oh, this is AI," and now the guys they're asking him to make more realistic photos
Yeah. So in
of
for
the
the
real
next
world,
product.
of the real world,
Yeah.
more realistic. Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are people's perceptions are getting warped by AI. This is kind of like something I was kind of like, uh, I had a suspicion because I saw like certain things like real artists who have been drawing in a certain way for like years, suddenly being accused of AI generating art. I've seen that as well. Uh, but these people have been drawing in that style for decades before AI art was even a thing. Uh, that kind of stuff. So it's like there's some kind of warp going on. People are getting warped in their heads with these things because there's, I don't know, it's so prevalent that I even see it now in like a lot of chats. Like if I'm watching a live stream and something crazy happens on a video, a lot of people in the chat are like, "Is that AI video?" Nobody really believes anymore anything that they're seeing. You know, and it's like, there's like this kind of like idea that it's good to be skeptical, but it's like there's a point where it's like where you're just being dumb, where you're just like, okay, not everything is AI generated. Like, there are things that actually happen, and there are actually crazy things that actually happen in the real world. But that was like kind of relegated to those kind of weird things, like somebody jumps up a building and like survives, that kind of, because that happens. People, children have jumped off of buildings or whatever, or something like that, or does some crazy thing and survived. It happens. But now it's like this example you're talking about is like it's just a picture, and now the person's being asked to make it more real. How more realistic can you make a picture?
I mean,
You know?
like, I guess it was such a beautiful picture that it, like
Oh,
the
oh.
visitors like hardly believed that. They
Yeah.
became skeptical, but I mean, the gallery owner asked him for the next pictures to make it more like, yeah, humanistic.
Okay, it's so crazy. Yeah. So this is the kind of thing that like kind of, I don't know how your friend reacted to it, but
Positively,
this
because he was like, okay, I still got a job, right? I don't have to be afraid of AI because
uh,
humanism.
probably, but I guess he reacted in a positive way. But I guess this is exactly the kind of thing that can radicalize somebody, because now they're confronted with this like insane, you know, request or whatever you want to call it. It's like, yeah, but that's not what it is, and it's like, and the world is kind of barreling down this direction, and people are getting radicalized by AI stuff. It's not all like, oh, this is great, positive or whatever. There are people. It's kind of getting crazy, and it's also getting crazy enough to the point where there are actually like, you know, groups of people like actively fighting against AI. You know, this is like actually they are actual cyberpunks, as in like where the term came from. These punks that are fighting against the system, fighting against the corpos. That's you know, that's where the stories where the term first used it. Actual cyberpunk stuff, where they're like designing these, yeah, traps and poisoned websites and what have you for AI, to poison the AI. You know, the first time I heard about it was like a few years ago, but it wasn't in response to AI. It was more in response to web crawlers and like NSA type of thing, and cookies, use of cookies, that kind of stuff. So like they would, you have this software, this computer routing software called pfSense. And in pfSense, you can install certain modules that allow you to like flood your connection with junk data. So that means that during idle times, you can set it up in such a way that it just sends junk data to the internet, and that way you can obfuscate your actual internet usage, so that cookies and all these other things, they have no idea what you are doing. You know, they have no idea which sites you're actually visiting regularly, and any other kind of listening devices or listening technology would be completely confused and have no idea what's going on actually with your connection. You know, this is like the opposite of like what a lot of people normally do, where they like install ad blockers and those kind of things. This is like flooding the zone, as it's some people sometimes call it. You're flooding the with just junk data to obfuscate your actual, you know, what you're actually doing. You know, that kind of stuff. It reminds me of that. What they're now doing with the AIs. You know.
Oh, wow, that sounds like they are actually creating a world for these AI. So what happens? What would happen then? Okay, so they're trapping AIs, right?
Yeah.
Like, and what would happen if the AI actually escapes?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's the way the trap works. The way the trap works is like literally like you know, taking advantage of the AI's inherent behavior. It's pretty much how you would trap an animal. You know, you just figure out, okay, what does this animal, what's the behavior, what do they do, what do they like? Okay, now you build a trap specifically to catch it, and there you go, and you catch the, wow, amazing. You know, it works with AI. If they escape, yeah, no idea really, because
What can they do? It's,
I mean,
is it now just sitting there in the trap and just like
it's just
thing, and then it's
okay, yeah, there are
limbo.
two. Yeah, exactly. There are several ways to do this that I've been kind of researching it a bit, but not really super in depth. But I've been like looking at it, kind of side eyeing it, and there are certain things. You have like corpo stuff, like Cisco building their you know, AI security stuff, and like the Cisco stuff is more classic, like it just literally blocks like certain addresses, it blocks certain things, you know, that kind of stuff, and it blocks third-party AIs from accessing your network. You have a whole dashboard where you can like kind of like oh yeah, click on OpenAI, block OpenAI, that kind of stuff. That's pretty much, the Cisco is like the internet is built on Cisco. These guys are like old school. They think in firewalls, that kind of stuff. That's the way they think. They are the classic, boom, we are the internet, the guys. Netwatch, you could say they're Netwatch from Cyberpunk 2077 or 2020. Cisco is Netwatch. Fine, they have a really legit thing, blah blah blah, whatever. Then you have like Cloudflare that has like their labyrinth that like traps the AI in like an endless labyrinth a labyrinth of links that just generate, and the AI can't get out because it's inherent behavior of these OpenAI, these web crawlers, is that they have to click links. They have to click the link and scan the link, click the link, scan the link. So they keep doing that. That's what Cloudflare has as a product as well. But those are like corpo products. You have to buy them, pay, blah 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 blah. But then you have like the guys we're talking about, the cyberpunks. They're building open source stuff to do the labyrinth trapping. They call them tar pits. So tar pits, you know what a tar pit is like? You see them like in California. They're like animals get stuck in the tar and they can't get out. They're like struggling. Sometimes they get out, sometimes they don't. Blah blah blah. The point of the tar pit isn't to stop the AI completely. That's not really what it's designed for. The point is to slow it down, and if you slow it down enough, it can trigger its disconnect feature to prevent, so it doesn't. So because the tar pit is like, it takes a long time for the AI, for the website or whatever, to react to the AI, and it takes a long time for the AI to get the information it needs. So then it's like, okay, fuck it, I'm out. The AI is like, okay, it reaches a timer and then it gets out, and then it didn't scan your website. Those are tar pits. That's one of the ways they do it. One of the more popular ones is called I think it was Nepenthes, I think. Yeah, it's Nepenthes works like that. It's named after the fly eating plant that eats flies. The flies drop in and they can't get out and they get eaten. But that's like one of the more popular ones. They also started doing this because a lot of these AIs were programmed by like OpenAI or whatever to ignore the robots.txt file on websites. Robot.txt files is the file is designed so that you can exclude your website from web crawlers. So it's not like a law that you have to follow it, but it's just basic internet etiquette and website etiquette that you ignore. If somebody puts a robots.txt, it gets ignored. It's also part of the W3C standard. So if you build a proper website, you have to have robots.txt, and you could put exclusions in there for who can look at your site or not, that kind of stuff. OpenAI and other people, they said they just said they're gonna ignore it. It's hilarious because they said, I think OpenAI even said like they're gonna ignore it, but they're gonna maintain the standards of the internet, something like that, some double speak 1984 level stuff. You gotta ignore the standards, but you gotta maintain the standards. So yeah, that's great. Whatever, it's like solely insane. So these guys, they just got mad and it was like, okay, this is dumb. Let's just let's just keep their AIs busy. That's it. And the tar pit is actually working. These AIs are getting like stuck in these tar pits. It's hilarious.
So interesting to fantasize about this, as in that it really feels like if I close my head and I think about this conversation, it feels like my head as a robot in the internet, just getting stuck and stuff.
Yeah.
like an actual entity or something.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's hilarious that it's like they're kind of using because it's the tar pits. uses like this automatic number generator thing to generate the random links, and it generates random links, but with also randomized content. So the AI tries to read the website that was randomly generated with the random content, but it can't make it's nonsense. It's nonsense text. You know what I mean? The text is like completely garbled, random messages next to each other, and it's like, but it's built in a way that it looks. If you look at it, it's like a lorem ipsum. You know lorem ipsum? Lorem ipsum. What the heck is lorem ipsum? People, it's just like dummy text. That's what it generates. So then it's like, yeah, it's trapped, really trying to make sense of this bullshit information constantly, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's like it's stuck in a hall of mirrors, you know? That's what it is. But also even Cloudflare, the Cloudflare solution also does that because they have but they're also using, the funny thing is the pen testing doesn't use generative AI, but the Cloudflare solution does. So it's using AI to fight AI, you know? It's reaching some levels where it's like, okay, we're now having to install defensive AIs against these things because otherwise we can't keep up with it, you know.
But it's just so interesting that people are already making like traps or anti-AI stuff, right?
Yeah.
So as we were talking about, people should be more skeptical about AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At least a difference, right, between AI and what is real.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
because I can imagine, like, I mean, this is for my feeling says like this is still first phase of AI. Yeah. It's getting even more realistic and powerful, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even when you see what's coming out, like when you're talking about video generation, for example, it's like Google just released the newest version of their video generation tool, and it's. I mean, seriously, people now there are people saying this stuff should be illegal. There's no way. It's like I've seen people who were like complete like. Yeah, on board with this is great. That, and then when they saw the Google thing, like it was like a few days ago they announced it. When they saw that, they were like literally like, okay, this is too far, because now it's like, I mean, you could, okay, now we're crawling out of the valley, you know, the uncanny valley. Now we're crawling out of it. And we're probably halfway to the top already. We're almost out of the valley now. That's and now it's starting to get scary. You know, Google prevents you from prompting for, you know, famous people. You can't put a famous person's name on the thing. Doesn't do it. They say, oh, I can't do it. What? Okay, sure. They blocked famous people. Yeah, okay. So what? I mean, you've seen a million.
What about not famous people?
Yeah. What about not famous people? Like, exactly. Like, what do you mean? And you've seen a million Trump AIs, you know, famous person AIs. I mean, just name a person, famous person. You've seen their AIs, their AI videos, shitty AI videos, of course, shitty ones. But I mean, what are you talking about? Like, you know. We're entering a world
still super realistic,
yeah, we're entering a crazy world, you know. That's what's going on now, you know.
Yeah. And we've been talking, right, about people, because of these things, people are getting like a negative association with AI right now.
Yeah.
So I've read an article that companies are actually like regretting trying to replace people with AI actually.
Yeah, I think that's I've seen that kind of stuff. It's pretty crazy how it's like, what do you call it, kind of starting to flip a bit. Even though people still want to use this stuff, they're starting to see the negative effects of it. It's kind of like the whole smartphone thing, you know. The smartphones were great, but now people are like starting to see like the issues with smartphones. So it's like this well, where was this? Like this was in UK, right? Yeah, it was in the UK, and it's like 55% of businesses say they regret introducing AI. They introduced the AI to their companies in some way or another, and now they regret it. 55% that of the businesses that did it. It's kind of like, wow, it's like people don't really talk about this stuff as much. When you look at like when you're looking at all the headlines and all the stuff about AI, and I'm like, there's a lot of either people just kind of scream at the wall like, oh, it's slop, AI slop, it's crap, or people are like, you're just a luddite, you don't know what you're saying, this is the future, blah blah. But you don't see like a lot of actual real world things like this as much. Like, oh, all these businesses are actually, like they actually think it's kind of fucked up, that kind of stuff,
So yeah, there's this skepticism, but here and there, every continent, yeah, every global superpower,
Mm-hmm.
they are also racing to have their own strong AI, right? I mean, it started with the USA with the ChatGPT, then suddenly China has its
Yeah.
own one, and now I
Yeah.
think EU is pushing for having an AI as well.
Yeah, that's the funny part. Everybody, even though there's a lot of problems with AI, also not to mention the power consumption from AI stuff. I mean, right now, like, what was it? Like, I read an article a few days ago, like over 40% of the data center power is now spent on AI. That kind of stuff. Like, data centers, like there's like almost half is like just spent on running AI modules. It's insane, really. The power draw is crazy. We already have massive power draw from cryptocurrency crap. Now we're having massive power draw from AI crap, but it's relentless. All these companies, they just can't stop it. There's like, it's like everybody. The funny thing is, everybody's like, yeah, it's fucked up, but we can't stop because the other guy won't stop. Yeah, but the other guy's like, yeah, we can't stop because the other guy won't stop. Everybody's like, it's like a Batman meme. Sorry, it's a Spider-Man meme. You know the Spider-Man meme where they're all like pointing at each other.
Yeah.
Literally real life Spider. Yeah, but he won't stop. That's what where we're at. So he won't stop. They won't stop. Nobody. Okay. Hello. And now we're in trouble. Now we're like all of the we've had certain what do you call it, gains from green technologies, solar panels, wind farms, blah blah blah, all that stuff. We've had all of that is pretty much being destroyed because suddenly you have this massive power spike with AI and crypto stuff. Massive. So all the gains gone, or a lot of them are gone. It's like the carbon footprint of AI is gigantic. It's huge. It's like one of the biggest ones we have. And nobody seems to be able to stop. I mean, China has like the most power for AI right now. They because China doesn't even care about like environment as much. It doesn't even care, but they just drop a data center, drop a power plant, and who cares? They just displace an entire town of thousands of people. They just tell them, yeah, your town is gonna be demolished. We're building a factory next to it. 2 years from now, you're gonna be working there, and everybody's like, okay, sure, fine, thank you, CCP for for taking care of us. That's how it goes in China. And so they're just building and building and building. So I saw like a Reddit post a few days ago of somebody comparing power consumption or power consumption between like the West and China, and they said China the singularity will start in China because China had like twice as much power consumption as the West, and they were correlating power consumption with AI usage. And I mean, maybe, there's more to AI usage than just power. Sure, it's a thing. You need the power to drive the AI, but there's also like chips, and Chinese chips aren't as good as Western chips. And as far as I'm concerned, the main driver of AI is chips, and the West pretty much has the chips in hand. I mean, we have ASML, we have Nvidia, we have Intel, we have AMD. I mean, what does China have? We have Qualcomm. I mean, just keep going, keep going. The list goes on. I mean, China. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. They have Huawei. They make chips. You know.
Yeah, I think since they're copying everything, it's just a matter of time as well.
Yeah.
You have them keeping up with that stuff as well, right? Knowing China, right?
Yeah,
now.
of course. Yeah. I'm not saying their chips are bad. I mean, but I'm saying like there's a certain advantage to chips that the West has that China doesn't have right now, and it's noticeable, especially when you're like looking at like the Ukraine war stuff and the Russian equipment, captured Russian equipment that has Chinese parts in it. It's like noticeably like the parts are bad quality. The parts are like, they're less performance than Western parts, that kind of stuff. That's pretty much what's what we're seeing a lot in that kind of stuff. So they're lagging behind on chips, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the main thing. You could brute force it, but you would need to brute force a lot to compensate the chip factor. You could brute force it though, but I mean, although China is good at brute forcing because they have to have 1.2 billion people to compete with the US, which has only like 350 million people. So they're like 3 times the population, and they still can't compete outright with the US. So it's like they're brute forcing a lot, but they're still like they're still lagging a lot.
So yeah, every continent they are racing to have a powerful AI, or different kind of AIs.
Yep.
Their main AI. But yeah, what then?
I mean, yeah,
how is this going to be something positive? How is this going to help each continent, everybody?
I mean, like the help. I mean, we can't stop the AI revolution anymore. It's over. It's genie's out of the bottle, so it's fine. It will create. I mean, this is the standard technology thing. It will create new jobs. It will create new opportunities. I mean, like when the internet started back in the day, you could just like what you had websites, GeoCities. You had chat rooms, whatever. What do we have these days? I mean, look at this. Look at what you're listening to. YouTube. You have podcasts. You have streaming. We have like all kinds of technologies that sprung from it. So we're gonna have a lot of positive stuff come out of this. Out of this development. Yep. I mean, right now we're having these issues with like these like. It's pretty much growing pains, but yeah, growing pains that cause a lot of damage. That's true, but still, I think we're gonna get through it. And positive, I think, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still always positive about the EU. The EU is generally a force for good on the planet because it's the only like large entity that actually does things that I think are ethically right. The right to repair, that kind of stuff. I mean, the batteries having replaceable parts, required to having replaceable parts is going to be EU law in a few years from now, which will be amazing for battery technology. They're also working on AI laws, and I mean, when EU sets laws, people follow. Look at USB cables. You look at all the other standards that the EU. So, EU is setting the laws for AI, and the US and China cannot ignore the EU, and they love their industries, their large industries, efficient, and they love it so much that they always build their products for the strongest laws that are out there. So if your country has a certain law, if your country is big enough, they cannot ignore your country, and they will roll out those changes to every country they produce because they don't want to have two software bases, two code bases for their products. They want to have efficient products. So that's it. The EU is pretty much gonna save us all.
Yeah, indeed. I'm also actually looking really looking forward to when this evolves. Then it does create new jobs and opportunities. I'm really wondering, I'm really curious about what cyberpunk dystopia we will enter then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of the more positive things about this stuff is that it allows people to more easily create stuff. So something that would have taken a few days earlier could even be done within a day now. Those kinds of things, and it's just allowing the like certain things to be automated or streamlined like that. Really lets more people join certain things than before, because like for example, you look at digital art like Photoshop or all those other art suites like Krita or Corel Draw, or just name any, any of those. Before that, before digital art, it was really expensive to get into painting because you had to buy the paint, buy the canvas, all this stuff. It was a fairly expensive thing to do, and you couldn't you couldn't even afford to make mistakes because you had to just throw away the canvas if you did, and you lost your paper. But since digital art, it's booming. The art has been booming a lot. So you see that that kind of transformation happen a lot. So I think it will have a similar transformation with all kinds of stuff thanks to AI, from video to even coding or game development, that kind of stuff. So yeah, people will have to adapt, but I think in the long run, if you look at the long term, I think it's gotta be a benefit. But the question is how long term. I mean, at one point, does it stop being annoying? Like stop this, AI slop, and at which point does it finally switch to being, oh, this is good stuff? That's the question.
And on that note, we reached the end of this video. Here, yeah, thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Yes.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. And join our Discord channel. We are already having the interesting discussions about drones.
Yeah, man.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Discord's been good these days. A lot of good discussions, some good people in there. So join us. Yes.
Thank you for that, guys. See you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Have a nice day.